No, I'm assuming you don't bet in your own name online. Have you just talking about Canada?
Yeah.
Have you opened accounts over there? Obviously, you're under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, I have opened accounts over there. I had some accounts already when some of the great operators. There's one they said, "Oh, you got some funds in it," and immediately sent me an email saying you're restricted. So yeah, but I knew that was going to happen because I'd done my research into that. Yeah, so I'm looking to just take advantage of that. Looking at ways and means to. I mean, at the moment you could open an account and get ridiculous sums of money, actually bonuses. Well, not the biggest, but there is casino offers. There's all kinds of different offers that you can take advantage of. I think it was New Jersey or New York. Again, they've got just people just go in and take bonus hunting, get a $600 free bet and stuff like that. So yeah, there's lots of wagering opportunities there.
Okay, now you told me that you're keen on networking with like-minded people. Can you tell us about that and maybe some of the people that you've sort of been involved with?
Well, networking sounds a bit schmoozy. That's not me per se. I find it more like just connecting with people, building a relationship. So it might be, I obviously do my podcast and I meet people through that, and you get to know people a little bit. And sometimes, and not just through that, but through mutual friends and acquaintances who connect to you. And sometimes it's just in that ability to learn off others as well. Because I come into contact with some very sharp people, some very shrewd bettors, and whether it be the tipster side of it or people that are on the just punters that do particularly well. And it's just learning off them and sharing information, sometimes without a particular end goal or a quid pro quo, but sometimes it can be quite valuable in learning what they do, what their markets are, some of their experience with bookmakers, ways and means to get on, technology. There's different things that certainly by talking to other people have been very, very beneficial, to build not just my business, but to build my own personal betting, my own personal understanding, and whether it be advice on issues that you're getting with runners or advice you're getting with issues with bookmakers. That's certainly been a help to kind of understand the best way to deal with problems that have arisen on that front. And I'd advise people because betting is such a lonely game if you're doing it from home. You're doing it on your own a lot of the time. You're doing it off your mobile, you're doing it from your office. And it doesn't need, you've not been able to for the last couple of years really to come and meet person face to face. But and a lot of the time you are talking with people on WhatsApp or Telegram or email, and you just develop that relationship and start to learn. Maybe I've certainly picked up the phone and explained certain things to people who I really respect and said, let me tell you about this. They've got this. You'd be interested in this particular topic or thing I can show you, or service or something like that. And then there's always ways and means that comes back to you and without expectation. So opportunities, ways to get on, that certainly helped as well. So yeah, I advise people to build their world. If you're good at betting, go and talk to other people, because there may be something that you're not aware of that they can help you on, and vice versa. Because sometimes people don't put that on in the public domain, but they're happy to have that happens quite a lot. I'm quite a share of the Smart Betting Club. I don't really keep any secrets to myself. I put it all online. But some of the people unless obviously I'm aware to keep something to myself because it's not for publication from somebody that's confided in me. But I do recommend people do that if they're interested in betting. Go and talk to other people. Go and get to know them, and because it's sometimes nice as well to share the experience of what you're going through. Whether it be tough luck or just hard luck stories, or like I say, dealing with bookmakers or dealing with other things that happen in this world.
Any particular associates that you work?
None I'm going to name. Well, there's a couple of guys. I got to know a guy actually from a podcast, not probably who you think, but another guy, and he's just been very interested, very accommodating, to help me with a few things in terms of getting on, and it's probably just a good relationship. So yeah, I can't give you any names, I'm afraid.
That's okay. Now, do you find? You've got a big database. You must have for 15 years worth. Do you find that all tipsters ultimately experience similar losing runs, even the most profitable ones?
Yeah, because it comes down to mathematics, probability. If you've got a tipster with a 20% strike rate, you're still going to win 1 in 5. It's still a 20% strike rate. So I think that's something people struggle to get beyond in terms of, well, I pay for tips, so they should perform better. No, they'll continue to perform just as they have done over the long term. Now, he could have a 20% strike rate, but he has a 20% return on investment, and that's the figure you need to focus on. And it's something I try to educate people on, is understanding probability and losing runs and sequences. Because I might say a 1 in 5 are going to win, but it's not going to be you're going to win on Monday and then lose Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then win the next Monday. It never works out like that. So it's understanding, what kind of sequence can you have with a 20% strike rate? You could have, I don't know, it could be 30. It could be a 1% chance of that. And that's going to happen 1% of the time. So it's these kind of numbers and statistics that aren't that difficult to grasp. There's tables and charts that you can easily see, and even put in your strike rate and the odds, and it'll tell you the sequences that you might suffer. And to give people that that understanding and expectation of what to have. Because we often get people that say, oh, I joined the service at just the wrong time, I'm cursed. They had a great run and now they're having a bad run. It's like, well, you're trying to time the market. It's really difficult to do that. You just have to, what I say, it's not your timing into the market, it's your time in it. And that's what matters the most. If you're in it for a year, 2 years, you're going to ride that wave, and you're going to enjoy the good and the bad, and it's all going to, hit the 20% return investment if that's what we're using, and that's what you should see long term. But if you're going to do it for a month or 2 months, and you're going to get hung up on expectations that it's going to perform better than it has historically, it's not the case. And it comes down to educating people. That's what we try and do as a fundamental part of what we do at the Smart Betting Club. The feedback I get from other tipsters is that they like our members because they're a little bit more educated, they understand a little bit more about what to expect, and not the type of people to send an email after a bad day and tell them what they think of them. I think we see jockeys get that all the time, don't we, and trainers. So yeah, I think if people can grasp some of those simple concepts, I think that it can have a really big impact on their betting. Learning how to lose, learning what to expect at the outset can really help when you get to those periods where you've had a shocking run, you haven't had a winner all month, and you think, oh, am I being taken for a fool? Well, no, you're just experiencing variance of the service. Look at its long-term performance and console yourself. And if you see something that's completely out of the ordinary, maybe get concerned. But most of the time, from those recommended services, it's just going to follow a pattern, up and down, and long term, you just make sure you're up, whatever the long-term stats should indicate.
Okay, so what would be your ultimate staking? What was your preferred staking plan? How much should people have in the tank?
Well,
how many? Not how much, but if per bet, how many bets should they allow for?
Well, it all depends on the individual. How much money have you got? If you only got £5 to bet, that's a good amount, and then it comes down to what. So
would you have need to divide that up to 200 bets, so your stake is divided by 200, or how would you? It's
service by service. So if you get it depends on the strike rate and the average odds. So if you got a golf service and it might have a 2% strike rate of winners, or a 10% strike rate of places, you're going to need a much bigger bank than if you're following a racing tipster or a football tipster that's playing the Asian handicap markets where they've got a 52% strike rate. You're going to need a much bigger bank for the golf than you are for the football. So it really is okay. There's no simple answer to it. There's no black and white answer. It's all, you have to take it on that individual basis, and that's where our analysis comes in, because we can see, okay, this golf tipster is particularly good and has a really flashy return on investment, great profits, but sometimes you might be better following a tipster that's got a low return on investment, they churn through bets, and you need a smaller bank, and that's what we call a return on capital, because then you can see the actual real life money, how it's grown in relation to the size of the bank. So yeah, you might divide that £2,000 by 50, and then you have a certain stake level, you can grow that, versus dividing £2,000 by 200, and you have a much smaller stake level. So to actually make a good, actually build your bank, it might not be as well good, it might not perform quite as well, because the return on investment is not as important as your return on capital, how much your bank actually grows.
And the psychological side of it, should you overcompensate with your tank? Because if you are having a losing run, all of a sudden you did have £2,000, now you've only got 900 quid left. The math says that in a minute it's going to spin around, but you've still only got 900 quid left. So, do you look at the psychological sort of side of things?
That's a huge side. With that, we often say people don't like it when they lose more than half their bank. So it depends on your risk profile, right? That's, again, goes to psychology. And that's another important thing to people to understand, because we all have a different risk profile. You know, do you cross the street at the crossing? How fast do you drive over the speed limit? Things like that, you know, subconsciously or consciously, we all make risk decisions. And some people are much more comfortable taking risks with their finances or with their betting than others. So it's really understanding that in terms of the individual's approach to risk, and that ties into the psychology. Because if you're uncomfortable, like if you're betting on a sport, you know, where you have a really low strike rate and you're uncomfortable that you need winners and you just, well, it's not for you, and ultimately you're not going to thrive with that approach because it doesn't fit your profile and your preferences. So it's understanding that is the big psychology part of it, and we have like a risk test and trying to do some information on that to say, well, where do you fit on the risk scale, if you like? You're somebody that, you know, is happy to go and charge around and take all kinds of risks, or you're somebody that is very wants to kind of, you know, like almost if you invest in bonds versus if you invest in emerging markets. You know, a good investment portfolio will tailor it to the individual. Again, you know, I think I tried to open one with one firm and it made me do this questionnaire. Before I could do a risky investment in their portfolio, I had to answer the questions in the right order. Ultimately, it let me redo it once because I didn't answer it correctly. And I was able to do, but it's that kind of concept, because they know that if you're chasing the big profits, you know, high risk, high reward, low risk, low reward, the same fundamentals of all walks of investment applies to betting. So understanding that, and as an individual, understanding that with your betting portfolio, ties into the psychology of it and what suits you, that will probably make the biggest difference. Because I would say the easiest thing at the moment is finding a profitable edge, and then the harder parts are, you know, getting on, and then the psychology of betting. And I find that's what the difference between success and failure for any individual actually is.
Okay, now a tipping service that doesn't experience bad losing runs would probably have to be a real inside information tipping service where they know that they've got a bit of an edge. Do those ones exist on a commercial basis?
No, and you'd be foolish as well. Often those types of services, I imagine, would be asking you to put money on for them, and it wouldn't be a settled strategy. It would be, it might be out of the blue you get a call, or we're taking a different price today, or we've got a different inside information mole, or whatever it might be. So I don't think that exists as a service. Maybe some punters, and obviously we had people on your set of interviews who've pulled off big heists and touches and what have you, and
they don't tell anybody.
I'm
surprised they even tell their bookmaker.
Probably don't tell their wives, do you? So I don't think there's ever I'd be very, very cautious of that. It seems to be like a bit of a dream world. People think that goes on, and they sign up for services promised that, but they're just getting taken advantage of most of the time.